Dear friends, you are welcome in this lecture, and we will continue with the topic factors affecting plant growth. If you remember, I covered the terminology, some difficult words were explained to you. Then you could see what do we mean by growth and what is the difference between growth and development processes. And you can see the stages of cellular growth, which occurs mainly by division of cells and increase in size. And we know that the growth occurs in the top region, in the apex region, and also laterally. We could see difference in determinate and indeterminate growth habit of the plant. We have seen three phases of the growth curve: lag phase, log phase, and stationary phases. So this was the curve discussed, and there are number of ways, number of means to measure the plant growth in terms of diameter, height, volume, size, tillers, etc. Fresh weight, dry weight, length, area of the plants can be measured. And we know every farmer is interested to get more return. And more return are possible when we have optimum growth and optimum yield. We have seen there are a number of factors which affect the plant growth. Long list of factors is there, but all these factors can be divided broadly into external factor and internal factor. Internal factors are genetic factors, and external factors are environmental, management, and socio-economic. In environment, we have abiotic and biotic. Abiotic factor means non-living factors. W for water, A for atmosphere or air, N for nutrients, T for temperature, S for soil or somewhere to grow, and then light. So these are 6 abiotic factors, and number of biotic factors are there which affect the growth. Our job is to study these factors so that we can improve them. We can manipulate them to get better growth. I discuss internal factors, genetic factors, particularly interaction of genotype and environment. And in environmental factors, I told you that many of them are interrelated, like soil air, soil water, and soil temperature. They are interrelated. Similarly, soil structure, soil texture, gas movement, activity of organism, soil organic matter, they are interrelated. They have interactions. One affect other. Now we started the temperature as a factor. I started and I told you that survival limit is minus 35 to 75. And for most crop plants, the practical limits are 15 to 40 degrees centigrade. Means during between these temperature ranges, maximum plants can survive. Optimum temperature depends upon species and variety. One species may need more temperature, other may need less temperature or low temperature. Even differences exist within the varieties. Duration of exposure is also important. How long you expose the temperature, which is called as thermoperiodism. Age of the plant, stage of development. So number of factors affect the temperature requirement. Now friends, coming to the role of temperature. Why temperature is important for the plants? So number of roles are being played by temperature in plant growth. For example, water and nutrients uptake. It is necessary for uptake of water if there is very low temperature. At low temperature, root activity is not there. So because of reduced root activity, water uptake will be adversely affected. Similarly, nutrient uptake. Also, nutrient availability is temperature dependent. You know, decomposition of organic matter is done by soil microbes. So soil microbes help in the decomposition of organic matter. And these soil organisms need ideal temperature for their growth. If it is too low or too high, the growth of microbes will be adversely affected. They cannot decompose organic matter or decompose it slowly. So therefore, the nutrient availability in soil will be less. And also the movement of nutrients and uptake of nutrient is affected by temperature. If roots are getting very low or very high temperature, their activity is adversely affected. So nutrient uptake is reduced. Similarly, temperature affects transpiration. The increased temperature may result in increased transpiration, which will finally result in reduced availability of water in the soil. So this is also affecting the transpiration and the growth. You know, for photosynthesis, what plant do? They get carbon dioxide and sunlight from atmosphere, water from the soil, and in the presence of chlorophyll, they make up the food. So photosynthesis activity is affected by temperature. Protein synthesis, respiration, enzyme activity, and many biochemical, physiological functions of the plant are affected by temperature. So naturally, if you get ideal temperature, optimum temperature, then all these biochemical functions will be normally done by the plant. If temperature is adverse, too high or too low, then these activities of enzyme, protein synthesis, respiration, photosynthesis, all will be affected adversely. So adverse temperature will reduce the plant growth by affecting these physiological or biochemical processes. Next is cell wall permeability. Cell wall, you know, every plant tissue is made up of cells, and these cells are connected to each other by cell wall. Cell wall is the outer layer of every cell. So, and between two cell wall, some spaces are there. Inter-cell wall spaces are also there. So, cell wall permeability means, suppose water is traveling, water is passing through the plant. So, passing of water or nutrients will be adversely or negatively affected by low temperature. Particularly at low temperature, cell wall permeability will reduce, and that will reduce the movement of water in the plant system, and also nutrient movement in the plant system will be affected. Suppose they are taken up from the root, water and nutrients, and then they may not move into the plant parts because of reduced cell wall permeability. So cell wall permeability is affected by temperature. And microbial activity directly affects the nutrient cycling. I have already discussed. Flowering and maturity is also affected by temperature. Some plants require minimum amount of temperature, minimum units of heat to flower or to complete their life cycle. This is your thermoperiodism. Now, organic matter decomposition is affected by temperature, microbial growth and development. Pollen viability is important. You know, to get the seed setting in the plants, you need pollination. If pollens are dead, pollen grain may be inactive at high temperature or too high temperature or too low temperature. So for pollen viability, some optimum temperature is required. Yesterday, I was talking about the case of rice. In rice, optimum temperature for pollination is 33.3 degrees centigrade. If temperatures are higher than this or lower than this, then the pollen viability will be adversely affected and the grain filling can be reduced. So adverse temperatures reduce the grain filling via reduced pollen viability. Seed set and development. Seed set, you know, seed set means fertilization, and development of the seed is also affected by temperature. Rate of senescence. Senescence means death of tissues or death of plant parts or death of cells is called as senescence. So rate of senescence or maturity increases in plant. Higher the temperature, faster will be the maturity. Then quality. In many crops, the quality of the food or seed is affected by temperature. I can give you classical example of rice. We have aromatic rice called basmati rice. So basmati rice, if you have temperature at maturity, 24 to 27 degrees centigrade, then you will get more aroma and better grain quality. If temperatures are higher, then the basmati grain quality is adversely affected. Similarly, for seed germination, you need optimum temperature. If temperatures are not optimum, the seed germination will be adversely affected, or it may be slower. Being agronomist, you must be knowing the role of temperature in seed germination. Similarly, pest and disease occurrence. So certain insect pests become more active at a particular temperature. So presence of temperature around affects the incidence or occurrence of pests and diseases. Certain temperatures may be favorable for the development and growth of the insect pests. Now you can see how temperature is affecting the rate of leaf appearance. Means leaf production. The production of leaf per day may be affected by temperature. So here you can see on x-axis, it is temperature. On y-axis, it is the rate of leaf appearance. Number of leaves per day. How many leaves are originating or are getting born on the maize plant? This is with respect to maize plant. So you can see as the temperature is increasing from 10 degrees centigrade. At 10 degrees centigrade, you can see the number of leaves were about 0.05. And as you increase the temperature to 15 degrees centigrade, and you can see the number of leaves increased. And then at 20, 25, 30. At 30 degrees centigrade, you see you get higher leaf number. So maize prefers relatively higher temperature. At lower temperature, the leaf production is less. At 30 degrees centigrade temperature, leaf production by corn or maize is higher. So because maize is tropical plant and it the higher temperature suit or are better for the maize plant. Now you see the optimum soil temperature for maximum yield of important field crops. So you can see these are the ranges of temperature. For example, for barley, it is 18 degrees centigrade. For oats, 15 to 20 degrees centigrade. And you can see this table. Now, another interesting point is that plants are classified into C3 plant and C4 plant. Can anybody tell me difference in C3 and C4 plant? Please give the answer if you know it. What is the difference in C3 and C4 plants? Please answer it.
Yes, sir. Wheat is the 3 carbon, and sugar cane is 4 carbon.
Yeah. So this is example. But what is the difference? So what happens in C3 plant? In C3 plant, when the photosynthesis start, it is the first carbon compound, the first molecule made by photosynthesis is a 3-carbon compound. Therefore, they are called as C3 plant. And in C4 plant, the first product of carbon synthesis or photosynthesis is a 4-carbon compound. Therefore, C3 and C4 plant. Maize, sorghum, pulse millet, and sugarcane. These are C4 plants, and soybean, wheat, rice, these are C3 plants. So you can see the temperature requirement of C4 plant is more. See, the C4 plant temperature requirement is more than the C3 plant. On y-axis, you have photosynthesis. On x-axis, you have temperature. If you increase the temperature, the photosynthesis will be reduced in C3 plant early, at an early temperature, lower temperature. But in C4 plant, temperature requirement is higher than the C3 plant. Now, you see, temperature also affects the soil pH. I do not know about your country, but in India, we have 3 different seasons. One is winter season, then summer season, and then rainy season. Do you have same kind of season in your country, or you have different seasons?
Season, winter and summer.
Summer,
Spring and winter season.
okay. So you can see soil pH increases in winters and decreases in summer. This is in India. Summers we have higher temperature, winter we have lower temperature. So this temperature is affecting the soil pH if the temperatures are different. So you can see this is the result of increased microbial activity in summer. In summer, microbial activity is increased, which result in increased decomposition of soil organic matter. And when organic matter decomposes, it releases carbon dioxide, which makes carbonic acid, H2CO3. And this releases hydrogen ions. So therefore, pH decreases in summer and it increases in winter. Decreased pH in summer increases micronutrient availability. You know, if your soil is alkaline, if pH is more than 7.5 or 8, and if you add some acidic material in the
Sir,
soil, the micronutrient availability increases.
sir,
Yes, yes.
sir, the dry area or humidity area is the same or is it
Yes.
difference?
Very intelligent question. See, water availability has to be there. You are right that in summer months, there is no sufficient water in the soil. Then how the decomposition can happen just with temperature? We also need moisture for microbial activity. So this is for the conditions where moisture is available in the soil. If moisture is not available in the soil, then pH will not decrease in summer. You are right, it is
Okay.
moisture dependent. Good question, really good question. So it is for humid area where you have water in soil. Any other
Okay, thanks.
question? Any other question? No question. Now, what happens if your temperatures are low, very low temperature? So reduce crop growth and cell wall permeability. Cell wall permeability is reduced, reduce nutrient and water uptake. I already discussed because of reduced microbial activity, reduced cell wall permeability, reduced transpiration is also there at low temperature, reduced photosynthesis, and freezing and chilling injury. Freezing and chilling injury can also happen if your temperatures are low. There is slight difference in freezing injury and chilling injury. Chilling injury happens in subtropical and tropical climate. In tropical and subtropical climate where temperatures are high and suddenly there is fall in temperature. Suddenly there fall in temperature, so it can adversely affect the growth, which is called as chilling injury. Freezing injury happens in temperate areas. Temperate areas means areas which are having normally lower temperature round the year. Round the year, they are cold areas. So therefore, freezing injury means your water is converted into ice and then it breaks down the cell walls or breaks down the plant tissues. So therefore, this freezing and chilling injury because of low temperature can adversely affect the growth of crops. Now you can see the difference in chilling injury and freezing injury. So in chilling injury, damage to plant parts caused by temperature above the freezing point. Above the freezing point, and it happens in tropical and subtropical plants. Leaves may become purple or reddish. Sometimes in winter months, you can see certain plants are showing purple or reddish leaves color due to low temperature. Frost or freezing injury appears on plants as ice crystals. Water or liquid is converted into solid above the freezing point, 0. plants damaged by ice crystals that form outside or inside their tissues. These crystals can form inside or outside the plant tissues. And ice crystal dehydrate cells and disrupt the membrane. So cell membrane or cell walls are broken down. Therefore, growth is adversely affected. These are the examples of plants which are chilling, which can have chilling injury or freezing injury. So tropical plants like banana. Banana is highly sensitive to low temperature. Chili is susceptible category. Subtropical plant like capsicum frutescens, capsicum, potato, tomato, they are chill tolerant but freezing susceptible. Certain herbaceous or woody plants characterized as freezing tolerant originated mostly from the temperate climate. Now, another concept related to temperature is heat unit or growing degree days. It means that a plant should accumulate certain amount of heat to complete its life cycle. That is called as heat unit or growing degree days concept. So let us try to understand what is growing degree day concept. The number of heat units required to bring a crop to maturity is called as growing degree days. Now, how to calculate the growing degree days means how much temperature a plant is receiving in a day, how we can calculate it. So on the next slide, I will show you. But you can see the requirement of growing degree days, total requirement. So number of growing degree days, baseline 10 degrees centigrade temperature. For example, for Gia maize, it is 2700 growing degree day to crop maturity. Means during the whole life cycle, maize requires 2700 growing degree days temperature. If every day maize plant is getting lower temperature, then its duration will increase. If maize plant is getting relatively high temperature every day, then its duration will be less. But the amount of heat required or accumulated under both conditions has to be the same. That is growing degree day concept. Now you can see other crops like Triticum aestivum. Triticum aestivum requires 1550 to 1680. Means compared to maize, wheat plant requires less growing degree days. It is because of nature of the plant. Normally temperate plants, they require lower growing degree days, and tropical plants, they require higher degree days, higher growing degree days. Now you can see growing degree days or GDD. These are the meaning. It is a heat index that can be used to predict when a crop will reach maturity. Each day's growing degree day is calculated by subtracting a reference temperature, which varies with plant species from daily mean temperature. We ignore values less than 0. I will show you, don't worry, I will show you on the next slide how to calculate it. The reference temperature or base temperature for a given plant is the temperature below which its development stops or slows or ceases. Means lowest temperature at which a plant is live and it is having some activities. That is your base temperature. So you can see how to calculate growing degree days. Taking the above the average of the daily maximum and minimum temperature compared to a base temperature, T base, usually 10 degrees centigrade as an equation. Growing degree days is equal to T max plus T minimum. Maximum temperature, suppose today, what is maximum temperature? You take that value plus what is minimum temperature, divided by 2 and whole minus temperature base temperature. Here 10 degrees centigrade will come. So this will calculate heat unit received by the plant in 1 day. It is for 1 day. So it can be calculated for all the days during which plant is standing in the field, starting from seed germination up to the harvest or up to maturity, we can calculate the growing degree days for each day and then make the total. That will be total heat units or total growing degree days need of the plant. Is it clear to everybody? Okay.
Clear, teacher. Go ahead.
Okay, see the example. A day with a high of or maximum temperature of 23 degrees centigrade and a low of 12 degrees centigrade, and base temperature is always 10 degrees centigrade, would contribute 7.5 growing degree days in one day. So 23 plus 12 divided by 2, whole minus 10. So you get 7.5. So suppose it is 2700 growing degree days for crop maturity. And in one day, plant is getting 0.7. Then what will be the duration? You can easily calculate 2700, 0.7 is getting in one day. And it may not be for maize actually, it may be for wheat. So you can calculate the duration. 7.5. So it is getting in one day, or you can divide 2700 by 7.5. You will get the duration of the crop. Is it okay?
Okay, teacher.
Okay, now see, there is one more term which is called as vernalization. Vernalization means promoting flowering with cold. So some plants require low temperature to complete their life cycle, to do flowering, etc. So plants exhibit several adaptations for avoiding the ambiguity of day length signal. One is the coupling of temperature requirement to a photoperiodic response. So sometimes this ideal temperature and ideal photoperiodic responses are to be combined. Certain plant species, winter wheat, do not respond to photoperiod until after a cold period has occurred. So they do not respond. I give you example of winter wheat in Europe. In Europe, you know, wheat takes 10 months time. It is called winter wheat. So sowing is done in the month of October. In the month of October, wheat can be sown in Europe, and then it will not do anything. Wheat seed will remain in soil. It will not germinate because suddenly there will be low temperatures due to snowfall. Snowfall will start, and this seed will remain in soil for many months. For many months, it will remain in soil, and then after February, ice melting will happen. So ice will be removed from the soil, and then the seed will start germination. So this is called as overwintering or vernalization. So this low temperature requirement of seed is to be met before it can germinate. This process is vernalization or overwintering. And then crop can be harvested in August. In August, the crop can be harvested. So this process is called vernalization. So winter cereals like winter wheat, sometimes we call spring wheat and winter wheat. So spring wheat does not need any vernalization, but this winter wheat needs. So it is sown in fall. Fall means snowfall here. And flower in following summer, respond to low temperature very early in their life cycle. Do you grow winter wheat in Afghanistan? Do you grow winter wheat? Means from October, November, December. So in areas where you get snowfall.
Yes, sir.
So the process is vernalization. Response to low temperature. So they can be vernalized before germination if the seed have imbibed water and become metabolic, what metabolically active. Friends, before this line expire, I want to inform you that I will send you
Teacher.
two more links. I will send you, and you can use
Sorry,
those to- huh?
1 hour to next have a question.
Today only 1 hour. Or is it
1 hour
Friday?
class with half question, teacher.
Is it, yeah?
Okay.
No, you want to say something? Up to what time I can take your class today in the forenoon? 1 p.m. or 1:50 p.m. Indian time?
Sir, one student have question.
1? I can take up to 1 or 1.
Sir has a question.
Huh?
Sir, there is a question from our side.
Yeah, question you can ask, but I am asking, this class is up to 1:15. Is it correct?
One hour.
Or is it up
Yes,
to-
yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is correct.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so I will send you two more link. One by one, we will use this forenoon. Okay, so
Okay, okay.
once this link expire, it will end. I will prepare two more links and send you to your email. My phone is not working properly today. So, and we will have about 10-minute break. After 10 minutes, now it will expire in 5 minutes. And then we will have a break of 10 minutes. And then you can open link number 1 and link number 2 subsequently. Okay. Now your question. What is your question?
Teacher, what's the difference between fertilization and certification?
Vernalization and stratification.
Yes.
Okay. So actually what happened, stratification is simply removing the outer coat, seed coat of certain plants is called as scarification. And vernalization is low temperature treatment of seed to induce flowering. To induce flowering is your vernalization. Scarification is just removing the seed coat. You need to remove the seed coat to break the dormancy. In some cases, low temperature requirement is there, even to induce the germination. Certain seed do not germinate if you do not give them cold temperature or low temperature.
Okay, thanks, sir.
So you can see effective temperature range for vernalization. Now, what should be the temperature for vernalization? So it should be below freezing to above 10 degrees centigrade. Means the range is high. Response requires several weeks. Now, how long we should keep the seed under low temperature? So it varies with the crop species and variety. Now you can see another important point, whether your temperature is low or temperature is high, it is having adverse effect. You can see on the right side, high temperature effects. There are a number of effects. So now you try to understand, you just see on the left side, oxidative stress. It is called as oxidative, means related to oxygen. When reactive oxygen species are overproduced. So reactive oxygen is simply O. It is O2. O2 is normal oxygen. And reactive oxygen is O, only O. So that is called as reactive oxygen species, ROS. So it is produced by the plants under the stress conditions. So they are overproduced and accumulate in the plant cells and damage them, damage the cell, and it can the cell death can also occur. So many times it is abiotic factors are responsible. Means why there is production of ROS. So ROS is produced by the plants under the stress condition. This stress can be with respect to salinity. This stress can be with respect to high temperature, low temperature, high water or waterlogging, or low water. So under such conditions, ROS is produced, And this ROS is responsible for destruction of the plants. So what it is doing under high temperature, ROS is increased in the plant. What it is doing, it is damaging the DNA. DNA damage can occur, reduced photosynthesis can occur, reduction in growth, water loss, transcriptional change, hormonal changes, reduced antioxidant activity, oxidative stress, decreased enzyme activities, and yield reduction. So there are a number of ways by which high temperature adversely affect the plant growth. So oxidative stress is one of them. Hope you could get this slide, the meaning of this slide. And then high temperature depends on plant type, degree and duration, and plants stages. High temperature during reproductive stage can be detrimental. In temperate crops, more injuries than tropical crops. Reduced yield occurs due to high temperature, mainly because of reduced nutrient uptake, pollen viability or development is reduced, pollination and fertilization is adversely affected, shoot growth and increase seed or food damage. So a lot of adverse effect happen because of high temperature. Physiological injuries can be there, like scorching of leaves and stems. Leaf abscission can also occur, and senescence and root growth inhibition. Oxidative stress, I have already explained you, harms plant cells and impair their growth. Reduce sugar and starch in growing seed and foods. So it ends here. We will continue with the temperature in the next lecture after 10 minutes. So we will meet after 10 minutes, or you can have your tea, or you can have a break. And I am sending 2 links. First, you use the
Okay,
first link, and second time the second link, and sending
Okay, sir.
only by email. So bye for now.
Okay, sir.
So friends, welcome back again in this class. And I have started recording also. And we were discussing about effect of low temperature and high temperature on plant growth. We see if optimum temperatures are not there and they are beyond the optimum levels, either lower or either higher, they are going to adversely affect the growth of the crops. So now question comes from agronomy side. Can we reduce the adverse effect of high or low temperature on the plant growth? So what agronomic measures can be taken? So in this case, alteration in time of sowing can be made. For example, in case of India, during March, April, the wheat crop matures. And if there is high temperature during this period, the grain filling is adversely affected. So what people suggest, let us plant the wheat crop well in time. Means it should be planted around 1 to 10th of November. If you delay the sowing or planting, the plant will suffer from terminal heat stress. So in many cases, we can manipulate the time of sowing so as to avoid the adverse temperature, and the crop will not face it. Amount of clay. I think you know the role of clay is also important. If you have more of sand in the soil, so in case of sand, sand very quickly gains the temperature and growth is adversely affected and it quickly loses the temperature also. But if you have more clay, so more clay means higher clay levels in soil modifies or moderate the temperatures. So soils having relatively more clay content will have less adverse effect on the plant growth than the soils which are having high sand. Moisture and irrigation. You know, under both cases, if temperature is high or temperature is low, in both the cases, water application or light irrigation can be suggested. So it will reduce the adverse effect of high or low temperature. Drainage. So many times there is too much of standing water in the field. Maybe the case of rice, then you can drain it out to reduce the high temperature effect, particularly during daytime. Daytime water will get more heat and it will further affect the growth of plants adversely. So drainage can be practiced. Mulching can be useful under both conditions, whether temperatures are low or temperatures are high. In both the cases, mulching moderates the temperature. It can increase the temperature if it is low in the atmosphere. It can decrease the soil temperature if atmospheric temperature is more. Intercropping and multi-storied cropping can be done. Certain crops which are very, very susceptible to high temperature, those kind of crops can be grown as an intercrop under the shade. So under the multi-storied cropping, so it can protect the intercrop from getting high temperatures. So certain agroforestry measures can be taken up. Any question from temperature? Management of temperature or adverse effect of temperature on the plant growth. If you have any question, you are most welcome.
Question, sir.
1
hour class, let's have a question.
The teacher in this slide multi-storage, what means?
Multi-storied cropping means you grow the crop of different height. Grow the crop of different height. That is multi-story. Means first story means the crop of shorter height, and then the next crop can be medium height. The third crop can be tall one. So 3 crops, but they are having different height. So this is called as multi-storied cropping. So you can have 2 crops, means 2 stories, 3 crop, 3 stories, 4 crop, 5 crop, and this can be practiced under agroforestry system. You know, coconut, I think, I do not know in your country, do you have any seaside in your country? I think it is not. Your country is landlocked country. Do you have any ocean or sea around your country, water? Have you seen
No, teacher.
coastal areas where coconut is a common plant, you know, coconut trees? So in India, we have coastal areas where coconut plants are there. So in coconut, you can grow papaya, you can grow some other plant, which is shorter than coconut. And then you can take some fodder crops under the shade. So that kind of system is multi-story cropping, means growing crops of different height. Any other question?
No, teacher, go ahead.
Now we go to the next abiotic factor. I just recall you that you had external factor, internal factor. In external factor, you got environmental factor, socio-economic factor, etc. And then in environmental, you got biotic and abiotic. In abiotic, we started with temperature. Next abiotic factor is water or moisture. So moisture is actually percentage of water. Percentage of water in soil is your moisture. And actual quantity of water in soil is water. Because water can be reported in height also. 20 centimeter water is there in my soil. Means, or 15 centimeter water, that is water. Or moisture is when we report the water in percentage, it becomes moisture. And when we report it on volume basis, weight basis, then it becomes your water. So you know, first life on the earth came in water. So no life on the earth is possible without water. And so is the case of plant. They also need water to survive. Even human beings, if we do not get water, we cannot survive. So water is required for life. It is actually part of the protoplasm. Protoplasm is the material in cells. In animal cells, in plant cells, you get protoplasm. So protoplasm is basis of life. And it is also important, source of hydrogen and oxygen. So you know hydrogen and oxygen are also essential nutrient elements required by the plant. So hydrogen and oxygen comes from water. Manufacture of carbohydrate, you know, water molecule is broken down in the process of photosynthesis. It releases hydrogen ion and hydroxyl ions. So this hydrogen is necessary to convert NADP into NADPH. So there its role is there in energy production. So without water, you cannot have photosynthesis. Maintenance of protoplasm, hydration, movement of nutrients in soil. This is role of water. So nutrients move in soil by way of diffusion, by way of mass flow, and water is required. Without water, mass flow or diffusion cannot act, cannot be accomplished. So therefore, water is necessary. Translocation of manufactured food. The food which is manufactured in the leaves, that has to be translocated or distributed in the plant system. The food which is prepared in the leaves, it must reach the roots, it must reach the branches or distributed to other parts of the plant. Then what happens? Water dissolves this food and transport it into different plant parts. Like it is doing the job in soil. Similarly, it is doing similar job in plant also to distribute the food. Moderation of temperature. Water can moderate the temperature. I have just now we were discussing about temperature, and I told you repeatedly that temperature and water content in soil and also oxygen or air content in soil, they have interaction. They are interactive. One can affect other. So sometimes water can moderate the temperature. Now, both low and high level of water can affect the growth. Under dry land condition, you know, it is shortage of water, which can adversely affect the growth of the crop. Similarly, if there is water logging in dry land condition or rain-fed condition, it can adversely affect the growth of the crop. Of course, rice is not affected, generally not affected by water logging if the tips of the plants or leaves are exposed to the air or are exposed to the atmosphere. So what excess soil water can do, excess moisture can do. So reduces soil erosion, aeration. If you have too much of water in the soil, I have already told you, there will be short supply of oxygen or air in the soil. So root growth will be adversely affected. Nutrient uptake, microbial activity, movement of nutrients, all these activities in soil are adversely affected due to high temperature and mainly affected by low oxygen supply. So with poor aeration, activities of beneficial microbes are reduced, water and nutrient uptake is reduced, except rice. So you see, there is too much of water when you have water logging, but plant is not able to take up the water. So that is the condition for a mesophyte plant or xerophyte plants. But for hydrophyte plant that love to grow in water, they don't mind it. Rather, they are happy. But mainly mesophytic plants which require moderate quantity of water, or xerophyte plants means which require very less quantity of water to survive. So those kind of plants are adversely affected by excess water or water load. Now you see what can happen if there is shortage of water, moisture deficit. Percentage water present in soil is moisture. So what happens? Closing of stomata. Stomata closing means your photosynthesis will be affected, your transpiration, respiration, all these physiological functions of the plant will be negatively affected. There will be reduction in the cell division and elongation, reduced growth and crop yield. So these are the adverse effect of moisture deficit on the plant growth. So that means you need some optimum supply of the water to get a better growth. Now you can see the growth or yield growth or yield of the plant is related to the water content in soil in relation to nutrient supply. Or in other words, we can say that the fertilizer and water, they have positive interaction. Mostly they have positive interaction on plant growth and plant yield. Normally, if your water supply is low, drought condition, then you need to apply less quantity of fertilizer. If your water supply is increased, then you can increase the nutrient supply, or you can increase the nutrient dose of fertilizer dose. So in this case also, you can see that the same mustard or rapeseed, this rapeseed is, I think, grown in your country. It is also called as canola. Canola, a mustard-like plant. So rapeseed. So you can see on x-axis on this picture, it is the nitrogen applied. The rate of nitrogen application on x-axis is, you can see, the rate of nitrogen application is 56 kg, 112, 168, 224 kg nitrogen per hectare. This is the rate of application of fertilizer. On y-axis, you can see the rapeseed yield. Soil is same, field is same, everything is same, but only difference is in water supply. That in one case, water was not supplied, kind of dry land condition. So you can see yield levels are around 1000 kg per hectare. So yield levels are very low. But if you have irrigated condition, same variety, same thing, but if you have applied water, the yields could be around 2000 kg per hectare. So simply by applying water, you can increase the yield, a much higher yield due to water supply. So this slide or this picture explains you, if you have water supply, then only you can use higher doses of fertilizer. If your water supply is low, you should use less doses of fertilizer. You can see next slide. In next slide also, you can see, just you try to study this picture and try to get the meaning. What is the meaning of this slide? On x-axis, you have available soil water. On y-axis, you have yield of the crop. And then you can see on y2 axis, one axis is more there, which is z-axis, you can call it z-axis or y2 axis. And here 14% is shown. So 14%, and this is the case of barley. Barley is grown in your country. So this is a barley crop. So increase in yield and decrease in protein content of barley as a function of available soil water at 4 fertilizer nitrogen levels. Means the protein content increases if you increase the nitrogen content. Point number 1. The yield increases if you increase the nitrogen supply. Protein increases if you increase the nitrogen supply. But if you increase the water supply, the protein content decreases. If you increase the water supply, the protein content increases. Means the quality of barley grain or protein content of barley grain will be more if the water supply is less. If you want quality barley, more protein in barley, apply less water. So this is the meaning of this picture. You can see, try to understand this picture. First, you see on this side, on x-axis, water supply is increasing. As you increase the nitrogen dose, highest yield is obtained at N180 and at the highest level of water. Here you will get highest level of water also. And then there is decrease in the yield as you decrease the nitrogen content, nitrogen supply or nitrogen application. But the water supply is same to all the doses. You can see this interaction. And then see the protein content. Protein content is decreasing if you increase the water supply. So this is very clear role of nutrient-water interactions. Now, diffusion, what will happen if water stress happens on nutrient availability?
Yes, we look at it.
बस काम करते रहिए, वॉल्यूम में थोड़ा सा क्लास चल रही, जरूरत हो मुझसे बात कर लियो कोई बात. So what happens when you get water stress on nutrient availability? As you know, water movement or nutrient movement in soil or nutrient are received by the plant by three mechanisms. One is diffusion, other is mass flow, and third one is root interception or contact exchange. I hope that you understand. Otherwise, in the next time you will get one more course, soil fertility and nutrient management. I will teach you these phenomenon, how nutrients are taken up by the plant. Now you see, if you have high or low water stress. So in flooding is water logging kind of situation. Here you got excess water. So what happens if you have excess water? Reduced oxygen supply, restrict the root respiration, and reduced ion uptake. If you have excess or deficit moisture, reduced activity of soil organisms responsible for nutrient transformation and availability. Interesting fact. High moisture may induce certain diseases and enhance activity of certain crop pests. Now, what can be done if you have low water supply or excess water supply? Here, the role of cultural practices or agronomic practices becomes imminent. You see, if you have water deficit, if you have moisture deficit, simply you apply water. By applying irrigation water, we can counter the drought stress. Then, in case of excess water, we can go for drainage. And mulching, mulching is also important under dry land condition, where we can put mulch and it can conserve the water. Or mulching will increase the water availability in soils having less water supply, less irrigation. Under dry land condition, you can see anti-transpirants can also be used. Do you know about anti-transpirant? Can anybody tell me the purpose of anti-transpirant? An example. What is anti-transpirant? Why they are required? Under what conditions you need anti-transpirants? Anybody?
Teacher, we do know about this matter.
Okay. So anti-transpirants are the materials, organic materials or chemical materials that are used to suppress the rate of transpiration. They oppose the transpiration because under dry land condition, there is shortage of water. So if we want to conserve the water in plant as well as in soil, then we can use certain anti-transpirant. For example, one calcium carbonate can be used as anti-transpirant. Kaolin can also be used as anti-transpirant. There are some examples of anti-transpirants. So they are useful under dry land conditions. Friends, you have seen temperature as a factor and water as a factor. Now, third important factor that affect the plant growth is light. I think everybody knows the role of light, why it is important. So ultimate limitation is energy source. So it is energy source. Without light, there cannot be photosynthesis. So what is important in light? You have three things. One is intensity of light. Other is duration of light. And third one is quality of light. Intensity means how bright the light is. Duration means what is the length of the light during the daytime, how many hours you get light, that is duration. Quality means the color of the light. So quality is not that much important under field condition. You know, light has 7 colors, and different colors will have different rates of photosynthesis. Normally, red color has highest rate of photosynthesis. So is it possible to supply only red light under field conditions? I think it is not possible. So under greenhouse conditions or under polyhouse conditions, up to some extent, we can supply the desired light. That may be red light, which because red light photosynthesis is more, that means growth will be more, but it is not applicable under field conditions. And light is affected by latitude and climate. You know about latitude and longitude on the earth. So because of the position of the sun on the earth affect the quantity of light and the distribution of light. And it establishes the ultimate heat level. So light is very, very important. You need optimum level of light. Sometimes too much of light is not desirable, and too little of light is not desirable. Therefore, it is based upon the kind of plant you are taking. The plants which are C3 in nature, they require less light, but plants which are C4 in nature, they require more light intensity. And light also affects the flowering of the plant. Flowering of the plant, like you have seen vernalization. Temperature also affects the flowering or duration. Similarly, light is also affecting the flowering of the plant. We will see that what are short day plant, long day plant, and day neutral plant. Now, friends, as I told you that light has 3 important factors: light intensity, light duration, and light quality. So light quality is not that much important, but light intensity and light duration are important. So let us see what do we mean by light intensity. So you can remember the definition of light intensity. So intensity is like brightness. Brightness. Sometimes during the daytime, you will have clouds in the sky, and light is not that much intense. Light is not that much bright. It is shade all around. So light intensity is actually brightness, how bright the light is. And it is measured as the rate at which light energy is delivered to a unit of surface. How much light energy is diverted to a unit of surface or energy per unit time, per unit area. So this is the unit, means per unit time, per unit area is your light intensity or light energy. Energy per unit time, per unit area is your light intensity. So you can remember the unit of the light intensity is Langley, Langley. Langley is the unit of light. It is written by small l and y. Small l and y, it is energy distribution over an area. And the light intensity is also called as density of heat, because you know solar radiation. If you know about solar radiation carries light and it also carries temperature. You know, temperature, many times you cannot separate the light intensity and temperature. Normally, higher the light intensities or solar radiation, higher is the temperature, and vice versa. So this Langley or the light intensity is actually density of heat. And it is used to measure solar radiation or insolation, incoming solar radiation. Unit was named after Samuel Pierpont because his surname was Langley in 1947. One Langley is 1 thermochemical calorie. This is the equivalence. 1 thermochemical calorie per square centimeter land surface or plant surface or any surface that is receiving the solar radiation. it is equal to 41,840 joule per meter square. Joules per meter square, joules per square meter per meter square. Or it is equal to 11.622 watt hours per square meter. So friends, these are all equal units for Langley. Don't bother, this is small physics. I'm also not very good in these units, but at least you can remember that Langley is the unit of light intensity. Now you see the this on the x-axis, you can see relationship between light intensity and the photosynthesis rate. On x-axis, we have light intensity. So light intensity increases from 0 to 0.5 to 1 to 1.5 up to 2 Langley per minute. This is L. L is for Langley. So Ly is the unit. So here unit or light intensity is increasing on x-axis. On y-axis, you can see it is PL, means photosynthesis. It is indicating you photosynthesis. And the unit is milligram carbon dioxide per decimeter square. This is area per hour. So you can see the unit of photosynthesis. You can call it assimilation rate also. So you can see rate of assimilation of carbon dioxide for different crops, for different plants, it is different. So you can see maple plant. Maple plant is grown in temperate areas, in Europe, in Americas, and maybe in your country also. Maple plant. So it requires very low light intensity. And you can see if you further increase the light intensity, it will decrease the rate of photosynthesis. See the case of oak plant. Initially it increased, but then it started constant. It became constant. Third, you see orchard grass. This orchard grass require higher light intensity. So it is doing well. But you see maize plant. It is requiring much higher light intensity than these plants. So maple, oak, and orchard plant, they basically belong to temperate kind of climate. But you see the maize. So maize plant grown in tropical areas, or it is basically maize, sugarcane are tropical plants. So their requirement for light intensity is higher than the temperate plants. Is it okay? Is it understood to you?
Okay, teacher.
Okay, fine. Now we see light intensity is also increasing the leaf area index. Leaf area index in maize plant, you can see. So on y-axis, you have light intensity. On y-axis, you have photosynthesis rate. So as the photosynthesis rate increases, so you can see leaf area index. Leaf area index is higher. So this slide tells us the relationship between plant growth or photosynthesis and the light intensity. Generally, higher the leaf area index, higher is the rate of photosynthesis. If your leaf area index is lower, then the photosynthesis rate is also lower. But under all the three conditions of LAI, the photosynthesis is increasing as you increase the light intensity. Now, what can be done? Light intensity can be reduced. Friends, you can see these two pictures. These two pictures are from India. So in one case, you can see this plant, turmeric plants. So this is agroforestry system. Here, one poplar plant, poplar, P-O-P-L-A-R. Poplar trees are grown in between two rows of poplar plant. You see the turmeric crop. Turmeric is a medicinal plant which is quite popular in India. It gives you yellow color. You also use in your food, I think this turmeric is used in Afghanistan, in your food. So the roots are taken, dried, and they are of yellow color powder. Have you seen turmeric haldi in your country? Do you use it in your food? Turmeric, T-U-R-M-E-R-I-C, turmeric.
Mr. Murillo, I can ask.
No,
Huh?
teacher.
Okay, you grow in your country this turmeric?
No, teacher.
Okay, but I tell you here that this plant loves to be grown in shade because it cannot tolerate high light intensity. So it is better to grow under shade conditions. So there is one more plant which is called a ginger. Ginger can be grown better under high light intensity if you grow it under the shade. Or we can put artificial net to reduce the light intensity. So this is an example. And another case you can see, we also grow wheat under shade conditions as intercropping system, or you can call it agroforestry system. So through intercropping system, through mixed cropping system, or through agroforestry system, we can minimize the effect of higher light intensity on certain plants, or up to some extent, we can manipulate light intensity through putting some, doing some intercropping system or through some shading nets, NETS. Nets can also be used. Now, light intensity and duration are important for crop growth and development. You know what happens? Photosynthesis. If you have low light intensity is low means dark, relatively dark period. So plants become longer. Plants are taller in the absence of light or low light. They would have small leaves, bud blades, poor pollination, and fruit quality is adversely affected under low light intensity. Photosynthesis is stopped at high light intensity depending on the species. If you have too much of brightness, the photosynthesis can be stopped. Plants differ in light requirement. As I have shown you, the temperate plants generally require lower light intensity than the tropical plants. So certain seeds require light to break dormancy. For example, lettuce. Lettuce is an example where light is required to break the dormancy. So this is an example. Now, next component of light is light duration. I told you 3 parts of light are there: light intensity, light duration, and light quality. So we have covered the light intensity. Now we start light duration. So please rejoin the second link because this link is going to break. So we go to the second link.
Okay, teacher.
So welcome back again in this class. And you see now after light intensity, we are going to discuss light duration. How long Earth or a particular place is receiving the light. That is called as light duration or photo period. Photo means light, period means duration. So light duration of photo period is amount of time a plant is exposed to light. Behavior of plant in relation to day length is photoperiodism. If I ask you what is definition of photoperiodism, you can simply say behavior of plants in relation to day length is photoperiodism. Or photoperiod controls flowering in many plants. You know, initially scientists thought that the light period triggered the flowering. They thought that the light period is more important than the dark period and other responses. Described and based upon that, scientists classified the plant into short day plants, long day plants, and day nutrient plants depending on the photo period, how long plants are getting the light. But later on, it was found that it is the dark period which is more important than the light period to induce flowering, to start flowering in the plant. So in fact, it is not the photo period, but rather the length of the uninterrupted dark periods. Means continuous dark period has to be there. if there is break in the continuous dark period, then flowering will be adversely affected. Means dark period has to be continuous. There should not be any 10 minutes light during that dark period. So that is critical to floral development. So now, based upon the light duration, people have classified plants into 3 categories. Short day plants flower with fewer than a certain number of hours of light in each 24 hours period. So normally it may be less than 8 to 10 hours. Normally it may be less than 8 to 10 hours. Long day plants flower with more than a certain number of hours of light in each 24 hours period. Means they normally require more than 8 to 10 hours of light period to flower. Day neutral plants remain unaffected by the light period or photo period for flowering. In this case, it may flower during short day period or long day period. Therefore, they are called as day neutral plants. But as I told you, the dark period is more important than the light period. So you can see this classical picture, very important picture. You can say this is about the short day plant. This picture shows you short day plant, behavior of short day plant in relation to flowering. So short day plant means their nights are longer. So you can call them long day, long night plant. Either you can call them short day plant or long night plant. So for them, this long night is more important than the short day. So here you can see there is some, you can see this is the dark period. This is the dark period. And this much is required. This much is required dark period. After a certain hours of darkness, you have started giving light. This is the line, you cannot cross it. So up to this period, darkness has to be there up to this period or more than this. Then plant will flower. So in this case, there is no flowering. If plant is not getting the critical darkness, critical dark period, this is called, this line is showing the critical means required minimum darkness period. So if the minimum darkness period is not completed, then this plant will not flower. This is about the short day plant. Now see the next case. This is the critical darkness period, roughly half. If you get even more than this darkness period is more than the critical duration, then also plant can flower. Then only then plant can flower. So you can see light is not influencing the flowering. It is the dark period which is important. See the third case. In third case, the darkness was more than the critical time, more than the critical duration. But in between the darkness, you have a flash of light. Say only for 1 hour, the 10, 12 hours you have given the dark period. But suddenly for half an hour, you have given the light, then it will not flower. So this picture proves that for short day plant, the darkness period is more important than the light period for flowering. So this is how you can explain this for short day plant. Now take the case of long day plant. Long day plants can be called as short day plant, short night plant, sorry. Long day means short night plants. So you can see the first case. In the first case, minimum darkness period was there this much. Minimum darkness period was this much. So it was the critical period. So it flowered. Long day plant flowered. They did not mind much. They have flowered even if some light was there. In second case, if you increase the darkness period, if it was short, it flowered. But if you increase the darkness period, then it did not flower. There was no flowering. But if you have equal darkness period, or darkness period is more than the critical period, but you have a flash of light during the night time, and then also it flowers. So you can see for long day plant, if you get less light, if you get more light, but the darkness period is continuous. The darkness period is continuous, you will get flowering. Second case is if you give darkness period more than the required, then it will not flower. Third, darkness period has to be shorter. Darkness period has to be shorter, and it will flower even if you give the night break. So this is how you divide long night plant and short night plants. See more examples for your clarity. I'm showing you this slide. So this is the light duration is less, means short day plant, or darkness period is more. That means you can say long night plant. So what happens in short day plant? SDP means short day plant. In short day plant, you get flowering. They will flower if you have less light period and more darkness period. But in long day plant, there will be only vegetative stage. They will not flower. They will not flower in case of long day plant. Now see if you have more light period, but darkness period is very short. Darkness period is very short. That means you have long days, or you can say, and the darkness period is short night and long days. Here, short day plant will not flower or remain in vegetative stage, but flowering happens in long day plant. Similarly, you see many cases, these short day plant or long night plant are very, very sensitive, and these long day plant are not that much sensitive. So they can do flowering under 4 conditions. Please try to understand this picture. If you are not able to understand this picture, I can continue to explain it. Now, see, the next factor is wind. So wind is also a growth factor. So wind has both positive and negative effect. So light wind is necessary to replenish CO2 near the plant. So means it takes away oxygen from the plant, because 24 hours plants are releasing carbon dioxide, and during daytime plant also release oxygen. Through photosynthesis during the daytime, plants release oxygen, and which is near the plant. So it needs to be distributed in the atmosphere. So it is distributed through the wind, and plants need carbon dioxide. So it is brought, or it brings wind brings the carbon dioxide near the plant. So it is helping to distribute oxygen and bringing carbon dioxide near the plant. So wind has many positive roles and many negative roles. It carries oxygen away from the plant. Less wind, less evaporation. If you have more wind means your evaporation rate are high. Evaporation is loss of water from the surface of the soil or surface of the plant body. Water directly lost to the environment or to the atmosphere. So you can see typhoons or wind storms. They can uproot trees. They can do lodging. Lodging of the crop is possible due to typhoons. And wind breaks can minimize the damage. Dusting affects rate of photosynthesis. So what happens? These dust will reach the plant leaves, and photosynthesis can be affected adversely. And they can bring the pest also. Through wind, certain pests can be distributed. The wind can bring certain pests, but it can take away also. It can take away certain pests which are near the plant. So it has both positive and negative role, and it helps in the distribution of pollen from one plant to another plant. So it is overall having some good effects, some bad effects. Composition of atmosphere. Composition of atmosphere means outside. See, the rate of photosynthesis increases if you increase the rate of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So right now there may be around, how much is the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere now? how much is the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere at present? Any student? Nouri, what is CO2 concentration in the atmosphere at present?
No one answer. Go
How much?
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, teacher, I have a question.
It may be around somewhere around 450 ppm. You can check it. So 450 ppm. If you increase this concentration, photosynthesis increases. Under greenhouse conditions, many scientists in our institute and outside India have done this research that if you go on increasing CO2 concentration, the photosynthesis rate increases and plant growth increases. Up to 1000 ppm, there is increase in photosynthesis. And there is limit to increase the CO2 concentration. So, but under practical conditions, under field conditions, we cannot increase CO2 concentration to increase photosynthesis because it will have some more effect, more negative effect. But if we keep other effect constant, then CO2 increases the rate of photosynthesis or CO2 increases the plant growth. Current atmospheric concentration of CO2 is not 450, but it is somewhere around 400 to 420 ppm in the atmosphere. Most plants do adequate photosynthesis at this level, but not optimal. For maximum photosynthesis, you can increase. For most plants, increasing CO2 levels up to 700 to 1000 ppm enhances photosynthesis. You can see, if we increase CO2, it increases photosynthesis, means it can increase the plant growth, but it is having some kind of interaction with the plant. So normally C3 plants, higher CO2 concentration increases efficiency of Calvin cycle or C3 cycle and reduces photosynthesis, means increased level of carbon dioxide are more useful for C3 plant than for the C4 plants. So C3 plants like wheat and rice, they benefit more from increased CO2 as they are prone to photorespiration under normal conditions. You know what is photorespiration? What happens during the process of photosynthesis? Out of two molecules of glucose synthesized, one molecule is lost by the plant in respiration, which is called as photorespiration. And it is different from the dark respiration. Dark respiration continues 24 hours, but photorespiration continues only during the daytime or during the light period. So these C3 plants lose 50% of the photosynthesis that have been manufactured by them. So plants lose carbohydrates by way of photorespiration. So therefore, C3 plants benefit more from the increased carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere. So you can see finally, overall, for higher CO2 assimilation or higher photosynthesis, you can have 700 to 1200 ppm of CO2 concentration. C4 plant like maize, sugarcane have a mechanism to concentrate CO2 internally. So they benefit less from the elevated CO2 levels. Optimal CO2 concentration for C4 plants are much lower. You can see 400 to 700 ppm. But for C3 plant, optimum CO2 concentration for higher photosynthesis are 700 to 1200 ppm. And saturation point, you need not to bother about it. So you have seen all the 6 abiotic factors: temperature, water, moisture, light, plants, fonts, etc. You have seen. Now see biotic factors. So weeds can decrease the plant growth. I need not to go into details. And your insect pests can adversely affect the plant growth. Diseases by bacteria, fungi, nematodes, viruses can adversely affect the growth of the plant. Being agronomy student, you understand all these pests are going to adversely affect the growth because they damage the plant growth. They can eat the roots, they can infest the roots. So, and there can be some domestic and wild animals. Like in India, we have wild animal blue bulls. These blue bulls eat our crops. So do you have any wild animal in Afghanistan that can damage the crops, standing crops? Do you find any wild animals like jackals, fox, monkeys, donkeys, or any animal, wild animal in your country which adversely affect the plant growth? Can you give any example of wild animals or maybe deer that affect that eat the crop, eating of the crop? Harmful animal which is wild to the crops. You don't have any wild animal that affect your crops. Wild animals means they are not in touch with the human beings. They are just all right. Yeah.
Rodents.
Like rodents, teacher, sir.
Oh, you can see this is important because what happens, you have put fertilizer, you have put water, you have put seed, everything you have put. But in the end, if animals are grazing our crops, so that is really very harmful. So we have one blue bull that can eat our crops, and it is quite a serious problem in our country. So similarly, just I asked if any wild animal damage the crops in your country. Anyways, we go to the management factors. The third part of the external factor is management factor. All the agronomic factors will affect the growth of the crops. Land preparation, tillage. I need not to explain all these factors because you are from agronomy side and you know how these factors will affect the growth of the plant. If you have selected a good variety, improved variety, better variety, will always have better growth. Similarly, seed quality. If you have board seed, good quality seed which are free from insect pests and disease, will give you better germination, better growth of the crop. Similarly, if you can do seed treatment, it will reduce the disease incidence, hence the growth will be better. Nutrient management, efficient nutrient management is also effective. And you know, nutrient management have interaction with temperature, it has interaction with soil water, and many other factors. This nutrient management have interaction. So, but it affects the growth. If you have inefficient nutrient management, poor nutrient management, it is going to affect the growth adversely. Similarly, crop rotations are important. If you do not follow crop rotations, they will adversely affect the growth of the crop. If you grow just one kind of crop year after year, so it will reduce definitely the growth of the crop. Soil erosion, reduce the growth. Organic matter levels are important. Generally, if you have better organic matter levels in the soil, increased organic matter level increases physical, chemical, and biological properties of the soil. Hence, it will improve the growth of the crop. Soil-related problems, salinity, alkalinity, they reduce the growth. Similarly, water management is necessary because water has interaction with microbes, it has interaction with nutrient availability, organic matter decomposition, and soil temperature also. We discuss in detail. So water management can be optimized to get better growth of the crops. Lack of availability of input, seed, fertilizer, pesticide, credit facilities, educational. Now we are discussing, I'm sorry. So after management factor, you go to socio-economic factors like lack of availability of inputs or seeds. Many times farmers do not have enough money to buy inputs like seed, fertilizer, pesticides. So the growth of the crop may not be good. Lack of credit facilities. Sometimes farmers may be in need of money. So do we have banks or any society that can give them credit card or so on? So here in India, we lack it. Inadequate information on prices of inputs of produce. Farmers do not get a day-to-day price list of different inputs or output. Poor marketing system, educational background, economic condition of the farmer. So number of socio-economic factors may affect the growth of the crops. So friends, this completes this lecture, and I think it took about 3 hours time. 3 hours time, I told you yesterday, today also maybe 3-4 hours we have spent together. And I told you this topic is genuinely very, very important. If we know the factors that affect the growth, or how can we manage, or how much is the extent, which factor is more important. Hope it was useful. And I did not discuss soil as a factor, because this already known to you, and it becomes a subject in itself. Soil management, nutrient management, these aspects I could not cover as factor of the growth, because on this subject you have separate courses also. But definitely soil as a growth factor is important. Kind of say clay loam soils, sandy loam soils, they give better growth of the plants compared to sandy soils. More sand means more problems. So we need to have right proportion of clays, sands, and silt in the soil. And then we can see influence of soil texture, structure on the plant growth. Now we have some time for discussion. You can ask me questions, your points, your opinion, anything you like, you can speak. But before I receive your question, I just want to inform you that in the afternoon, some other teacher will take class. I'm not feeling well because of some eye issues. I cannot concentrate on a screen continuously for all the day. So I will be taking your classes in the forenoon. Tomorrow also, I will try to take classes in the forenoon, because continuously sitting on the screen is not, I'm not able to bear it. Now your questions.
I have a question, sir. What different intensity light and quality light?
See, light intensity or quality means quality is just the color of the light. Color of the light. Color of the light, and colors are, Vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, green, Vibgyor, green, yellow, orange, red. And you know that this light is called as white light. So we cannot separate the colors of the light. And there are no such exhaustive research under field condition that you get different light colors, different lights of different colors, and then use their different intensity. Such kind of information may be there, but I do not have idea about different colors and their intensities, testing the plant growth. So plant growth mainly indirectly measured by photosynthesis. If you see increase in photosynthesis means it is supporting the growth. If there is no change in photosynthesis means that particular factor or light is not influencing the photosynthesis or growth. So friend, I do not have any knowledge, any data that these different intensities of color light affect the plant growth. But one thing I can share that, for example, in case of rice, the optimum light intensity has been worked out as 450 to 500 calories per centimeter square per hour. I'm not sure about the unit, but the values are 450 to 500 units. I will tell you the units. So likewise, for different crops, the light intensity of white light has been prescribed. It is prescribed, it is recommended for different probes. White light or normal light, we have the information for field condition, but we do not have this intensity of different colors under field conditions. Is it okay, or you are free to add something more?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And also, our classmates have some question, teacher.
Sure.
Sir, I have a question about light or external factor. In the North Pole, Palanda growth.
In the
North Pole.
what can you do? You take a photo and send to me WhatsApp. I can read, or because I'm not properly able to listen you. Please repeat.
In North Pole and South Pole, Palanda growth.
وين كان ده أكثر وتر
Northern. Teacher, he said, what effect of the north part light for growth and south part light for growth?
What is? Believe me, I'm not able to hear. There is some kind of very loud and voice is not clear from your side. So what are
Siz
the
postane po postavki بالملقري مو ده حالك تسش postane مو ده
you repeat your
شمالي قطب و جنوبي قطب مناوطات سرنگا پرختاکی.
يعني قطب شمال
شمال و جنوب قطب کی.
شمال قطب جنوب
مناوطات سرنگا
يعني اشتداد كيفية النور تأثير بها.
جهان يمسكوا يعني تابشت كده جهان
Yeah, the teacher,
Sir,
we will
the
share
student
it
has
by
a
email.
question. Is ask the light for the day before noon on afternoon effect on plant. What is effect on plant and thus before noon light and afternoon?
actually, yeah, that is a good idea. Means you are asking that during the daytime, half day. If you divide the day into two parts, half day forenoon, half day afternoon. So which light would have more effect on photosynthesis? Is it the question?
Yes, yes.
So actually, this will be decided by the intensity of the light. It is not whether light is coming in the forenoon or light is coming in the afternoon. Light will remain light. It will not change its character. Only thing is that whatever light comes from the sun, if we do not have any clouds, any atmosphere, if it is something is no interference, then whole light can come to the earth. But thing is that in between we have clouds, we have atmosphere, we have gases, variety of things are there in the sky, you know. So light passes through all these difficulties and reaches here. Secondly, the light intensity is also affected by the position of the earth towards the sun, or latitude and longitude of the place. They affect the duration, they affect the intensity of the light. Otherwise, light will remain light, whether it is coming to Afghanistan, whether it is coming to India, whether it is coming in the morning or evening. It will not change its character. It cannot change its quality. However, the intensity of light will be different at different places and different at different time of the day. So it will again vary. Normally in the afternoon, particularly during the noon time, you can have higher light intensity. And in the early morning or late evening, you have lower light intensity. So it is very difficult to answer your question whether photosynthesis will be more in the forenoon or afternoon, but we can measure the light intensity. According to light intensity, the photosynthesis rates will be there. I don't know if I correctly understood your question.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
ستاسي د المر مسیر فرق نه کوي پر رڼا باندې خو دغه فرق کوي کچېرې وریځ سي کچېرې د المر کمزوري سي یا مثال المر ډیر تیز دا تاثیر لري خو دا چې د کمی خوا څخه المر رڼا د کمی خوا څخه هغه ډیر تاثیر نه لري تاثیر په دې کې دی کله چې وریځ سي او یا چې کله مثال کم غازات په هوا کې موجود دي هغه د المر د رڼا مخه نیسي د دې کم دا جو چې تاسو ټول مسلونه به سر خلاصوي
Thank you, sir. We don't have any question.
Okay. Okay. And any suggestion for improvement? I will send you all the presentation. I will send you today.
Okay.
I will send you the link to the videos. I will also try to send you some useful books for your use. And whatever is required by you and also your question, you can send your question to my email. If somebody could not ask the question, so you can send me by email, I will try to answer. So, Abdullah Adi, you want to ask anything more? Any suggestion? Abdul Hadi?
Yes, sir.
Looking quite smart. Looking quite smart. Smart man. Then okay, I get out of the meeting and see you tomorrow morning. I'll take your class at 10:30 Indian time. And I will send you links. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Afternoon, Dr. Shiva will tell you who will take your class. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.